Welcome to True Crime Nurse channel. I've been on hiatus, been a little bit busy with my career, starting a new endeavor, and it's been keeping a sister busy. Anyhow, today we are going to discuss Shanquellla Robinson, the new updates, and we're going to discuss her autopsy. I would like to go over the autopsy and some things that we discussed prior to the autopsy. I would like to also highlight the fact that I kept telling everyone that the forms that we saw initially that people were calling an autopsy was the death certificate and not an autopsy. This is the autopsy. It usually takes 6 to 8 weeks to get an autopsy, and here we are 5 months later. Just to bring you up to speed, I mean, everyone probably heard about the Shanquellla Robinson case that took place back in 2022 regarding a Charlotte native, 25-year-old girl went out to take a left and took a trip to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico with a couple of her friends. Uh, 6 other friends of hers, and she did not make it back to the States alive. She died in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and her friends claimed it was alcohol poisoning. After they called the mother in North Carolina and made claims that Shanquellla passed away from alcohol poisoning, they came back to the States, dropped her bags off, sat and spoke with her mother, and discussed how her daughter died due to alcohol. Come to find out, a couple weeks later, mid-November, we get a video that emerges on social media showing one of the girls, Dejanay Jackson, beating Shanquellla Robinson in Mexico, brutally body slamming her, beating her on her head, while others videotaped Shanquellla as she was aggressively attacked. Shanquellla did not fight back. And then later that evening, Shanquellla passed away. They told the mother and the sister that it was alcohol poisoning. But after this video came about, they went ghost. No one has heard from the infamous now Cabo Six. These young individuals from Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Charlotte area. And I think a few of them are from Connecticut. Malik and Dejanay is from Connecticut. They have not spoke out. There was only one person, Nazir Wiggins, who later accompanied the other 6 individuals on this trip on that following Saturday. So he was the only individual that did not come on Friday. So I'm just doing a recap to bring people up to speed and people who may not know about the case to kind of highlight things so you kind of know what we're talking about. A lot of social media presence and Twitter, was fighting for justice for Shanquellla, but there was varying discrepancies with some of the information that was coming about. Very slow to get information and updates regarding what was happening. Moving forward, Dejanay Jackson, it was her birthday. They went to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, for her birthday. Her birthday was like the 30th or something like that, October 30th. And she, I guess, planned this trip to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Many rumors was emerging that Shanquellla paid for everything. I always said I did not believe that was so. Also, Nazir had a birthday a few weeks prior, earlier in October. So he was also going to celebrate his birthday, but for some reason, he didn't come down to the following day. By the time he came down, he claimed that Shanquellla was still alive and that she just looked like she was very, out of it, kind of loopy. Moving forward, we get reports from a Mexican reporter, Gerardo Zuniga, stating various claims. Many of them came up to be false. He made accusations that Dejanay Jackson was arrested, and that was not true. He talked about the police report, and some of the things that he discussed in his police report is actually false compared to the statement that we now have from the concierge of Cabo San Lucas, Linda Villa 32, where the young individuals from Charlotte vacation. This person will give us a little bit of information as to what happened, with the arrival, and it will change the dynamics of what we all thought regarding this tragedy and this story. And I'm going to go ahead and just play a video here and let you guys hear some things. And then I'll get into a little bit of what the concierge said. And then later we'll discuss the autopsy. And I'll help break that down a little bit so people can kind of understand that, since I am a nurse. And, some things are kind of, if you don't have medical background, it's kind of confusing. So I would just like to help the public better understand some of the things that we are seeing in the autopsy. Okay, so let's get it.
This morning, lawyers for the family of Shanquellla Robinson sending a letter to the White House naming the suspect in her death. Robinson died while on vacation with friends in Cabo back in October. Now, the Charlotte Observer reported attorneys named a 26-year-old woman as the suspect wanted in Mexico. Wake Up Charlotte's Richard Vane now live for us this morning. Richard, lawyers gathering pages of documents after meeting with prosecutors and police.
Yeah, absolutely correct, Ben. 18 pages of documents. Then they formed that letter. They sent out that letter to the President Biden and also Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, saying that basically they want the person named. Now, we're not naming it in this particular story. They want that person brought to justice.
Either extradite the killer or take jurisdiction so you can prosecute the killer.
As Shanquellla Robinson's mother and family and friends and countless others who have followed her tragic story wait for justice, we're hearing published reports that name the unnamed suspect who Mexican authorities had issued an arrest warrant for, who was one of the 6 people who was with Robinson when she died on a vacation last year in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. The Charlotte Observer reports that the attorneys who now represent the Robinson family have identified the person who was named in that warrant. Sue Ann Robinson, member of Ben Crump's law firm, shared a letter she sent to the White House on March 13th that names a 26-year-old North Carolina woman as the suspect. We reached out to the United States Department of Justice, who declined to comment, and prosecutors for the Attorney General of the state of Baja California Sur say it could not share information such as the name of people with pending arrest warrants due to prohibitions under Mexican law. Robinson's attorneys say the time for action is now.
Mexican authorities confirmed that they have completed their investigation. We've had the opportunity to review some of the packet, and it has been sent. The ball is clearly in the United States court.
Yeah, and right now we're trying to determine to get that letter to actually verify that name, but we will not release it until we independently confirm it. We're here in Uptown. Richard Vane for Wake Up Charlotte.
All right, Richard, thanks.
Attorneys representing Shanquellla Robinson's family, they say they know who Mexican authorities are seeking for Robinson's death. The Charlotte Observer reports those attorneys shared that name in a letter to the White House. She's a 26-year-old. The Observer reports the letter includes findings from a trip a family attorney took to Mexico recently. Robinson, you'll remember, died while on vacation with 6 others in Cabo last year. And in January, prosecutors in Baja California Sur named that they were seeking a suspect facing femicide charges. Now, we asked officials there for more information. Within the last hour, they sent us a statement translated into English. It says Mexican law prohibits sharing the documents and revealing names of those with pending warrants. WCNC Charlotte has also reached out to these attorneys for further confirmation and comment. We have not heard back yet. We are taking a closer look tonight at the letter attorneys for Shanquellla Robinson's family just sent to the White House, demanding more action over her death in Cabo San Lucas in late October. You remember that she traveled with a group who then returned to the States, and they said she died from alcohol poisoning, while the medical examiner's office said that she died from a broken neck. So this letter names the person attorneys say is a suspect, and she is another woman from this group. The letter says the woman is a suspect in what's called a femicide. Now, this letter asks the president and also the Secretary of State to intervene somehow. They want to get Robinson's case resolved quickly, and the letter cites a couple of options, including extraditing the suspect to Mexico or requesting what's called concurrent jurisdiction with Mexican agencies. So that way, U.S. prosecutors will be able to bring the case into the United States.
Okay. Okay. So, we discussed, I let you guys kind of see what's going on to give you some brief updates about the letter that they dropped off to the office for President Biden and the Secretary of State. So, guys, what do you think of that? What do you think about it? I mean, do you think that's going to be helpful to move this case forward? I mean, it has been, let's see, November, December, January, February, March, 5 months now. Things have been moving pretty slow as far as trying to obtain justice for Shanquellla. So let's get into the letter here. I'm going to share my screen with that. 1 second. And we will, see what happened. I mean, there's a lot of things that have changed as to what we were thinking originally when we start looking at this case. And that's why I say, if you don't have any solid evidence, that is all speculation. Saying Shanquellla had all this money and someone stole it and she paid for the room. We had no receipts. So we cannot actually say that it was true because of that. So let's go, and then I would like for you guys to see what I have here. All right. Let's see. Okay. So let's see. I hope you guys can see that. I'm going to go in here and then we're going to look at this letter. All right. So as you see here, this letter was written on March 13th and from Benjamin Crump, and they wrote it to the Honorable Joseph Biden and the Secretary of State. So they talk about what happened. He's saying on the behalf of the family, they're writing a request for immediate diplomatic intervention from the United States. They talk about the death of Shanquellla, and where it occurred on October 22nd. And she was reported dead in a luxury villa in Cabo on October 29, 2022. Her 6 travel mates returned to the United States the next day. 3 of the 6 travel mates, Winter Donovan, Khalil Cook, Dejanay Jackson, would transport Shanquella's luggage from Mexico to her mother's home in Charlotte, North Carolina. They would give their condolences and inform Miss Robinson that Shanquellla passed away from alcohol poisoning. On November 16, 2022, one of the travel mates shared a video from a cell phone camera around the campus of Winston-Salem University. Here's something that we didn't know. We knew the video got out, but we didn't know how and where. According to this letter, they are saying that the video was shared at Winston-Salem University. Interesting. Let's see here. This was the college that Shanquellla Robinson attended. That was another controversy. They didn't say graduated, they said attended. Shanquellla Robinson, and I had said that in my previous video, did not graduate from this school. Dejanay and Nazir and one of their other friends, and I'm not sure if Elise did or not. I think Elise did. But Shanquellla did not. That was a rumor that's still going around. The video shows Shanquellla being beaten in the villa while naked by one of the 6 travel mates who was identified by a witness as Dejanay Jackson. An autopsy report prepared on October 30th, 2022 in Mexico by medical examiner Dr. Rene Alberto Galvin Acergo noted that Shanquella's body had a head injury and concluded that Shanquella's cause of death was a broken neck. After the video of the beating of Shanquellla Robinson surfaced online, the Attorney General's office in Baja California Sur initiated a criminal investigation. As a result of the investigation, a warrant was issued for Dejanay Jackson by Mexican law enforcement. One of the 6 travel mates who fled to the United States after Shanquellla was pronounced dead. Ms. Jackson was identified as the perpetrator of femicide against Shanquellla Robinson, a homicide based on gender. Now, remember, I just played the videos and they said that Mexico could not give a name. Remember, we did not get a name on this warrant. But in this letter, it states her name, that she was the person that was on that warrant. Remember, we never was officially told who the suspect was that was listed on the extradition warrant from Mexico. So this is interesting. In the United States, if a United States citizen commits homicide in Mexico and returns back to the United States, as you are aware, they can face criminal charges in the United States under federal law or state law, depending on the circumstances of the crime. So federal charges are brought in cases where the crime involves interstate commerce of federal law enforcement agencies. We know in transnational case where evidence was probably transported and persons of interest communicated with each other via cell phone, federal charges could be brought against those responsible for Shanquella's death. So what are they saying? So basically they're putting a law out there saying, hey, the law is if one of our citizens go to another country and is harmed by another citizen from our country and come back, according to the law, this is a federal or state law depending on the crime, that they can bring charges on that person, okay, because of interstate commerce or federal law. Now, this is basically they're saying that if a person is using like the communication with each other via cell phone, that they could bring federal charges up on that. That's interesting. So under federal law, the most likely charge that could be brought against someone primarily responsible would be a violation of 18 U.S.C. 1112, which covers manslaughter and involuntary manslaughter. If the individual's actions meet the requirement of murder under federal law, they could also be charged with a violation of 18 U.S.C. 1111. Federal charges that could be brought against co-conspirators to homicide include conspiracy to commit murder, aiding and abetting, accessory after the fact, and obstruction of justice. Now, I did say I thought the charges could be brought against them depending on the evidence. They also go on and say, as you are also, of course, aware, transnational criminal cases can be complex and challenging to resolve, especially when they involve individuals and entities in different countries. We understand each country has sovereignty over its own citizens and that each country has its own legal system, which can create issues. We also understand there is a protocol for the resolution of transnational crimes. Despite reaching out to consular authorities who are tasked with being the family's guide and liaison in cases such as this, we have encountered numerous obstacles in our efforts to receive information for the family on whether those responsible would ever be brought to justice. While on a fact-finding mission on behalf of the family, attorney Sue Ann Robinson was advised by a member of the United States Consular Corps in Mexico that if the family was seeking information about the case, perhaps the family should reach out to the at-large travel mates. Certainly, this is an unacceptable response to share with an American family in regards to their daughter's murder. So Mexico kind of told Mrs. Salamandra, if you want some answers, why don't you ask those crummy Cabo Six, basically. Don't come to us for anything. So they do have an attorney, and it's attorney Sue Ann Robinson. So she had to go to Mexico and start digging. Moving on. Given the nature and scope of this case, we believe that diplomatic intervention from the U.S. government could help facilitate the necessary cooperation and coordination between the involved parties to ensure that justice is served timely, that the accused are tried under appropriate legal system, that extradition is possible, and that international cooperation is fostered. The United States can't follow the extradition protocol and turn over the individual or individuals responsible for Shanquella's death to Mexican authorities. Alternatively, U.S. federal law enforcement agencies can request concurrent jurisdiction with Mexican law. Remember that, guys. It's called concurrent jurisdiction with Mexican law enforcement agencies, which will permit United States prosecutors to bring the case in the United States as the involved parties are U.S. citizens. We have just witnessed what a swift concurrent response from Mexican and U.S. law enforcement agencies looks like in the kidnapping case of a group of U.S. citizens at Matamoros, Tamaulipas, Mexico. Both scenarios we are requesting on behalf of Shanquellla Robinson's family require a high level of swift diplomatic intervention. My clients recognize that the United States government has many priorities and responsibilities, but believe that intervening in this case will not only serve the interest of justice, but also send a clear message that transnational criminal activities will not be tolerated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Sincerely, Benjamin Crump and Sue Ann Robinson. Now here you see this Cabo Villa. Here, this is the guest register for the Linda 32, dated from 10/28 to 10/31. They were supposed to come in on that Friday and check out on the 31st. This is a mystery right here. This number one bank line, and then they started at number 2. It could be an innocent mistake, but it may be something more sinister with that. Also, we can see that the handwriting, the 4 Khalil, Malik's, Winter, and Shanquella's all look like one person with that same handwriting wrote this, signed their name, and then the other 3, Elise, Dejanay, which looks like her name is spelled wrong, and Nazir, somebody wrote those, but who wrote it? All right. Now here we have, and I hope you guys can see this. Let me kind of blow this up a little bit. We have this interview report, and this was taken on the 19th at 2 o'clock of November 19th at 2 o'clock. This is the witness. The name that the witness is Santiago Miguel Marijuan Gonzalez. And this was taking place at the Criminal Justice Center at San Jose del Cabo. Okay. 39-year-old male. All right, let's get into this interview. I am the administrator of the Villa Casa Linda 32, Colonial La Playa Residencial Puerto Los Cabos, Fraccionamiento Fondaderos, Beach Club, Cali, Padre Quino Esquino, Padre Gillian in San Jose del Cabo, Baja California, Sur, where I have worked for more than a year and a half. Once I observed on my cell phone the video circulating in social networks where two of the guests who had registered in the villa appear, where one of them dressed in pajamas with shorts and blouse, possibly colors pink, white, with black and light colored cap, appears hitting another female person who was naked. The one who is hitting the other is the person named Dejanay Jackson, whom I identify because I served as a translator on the day of the events when the authorities were in the village conducting the proceedings. In the video, it can be seen that the headboard is illuminated by the sun rays, and due to the location of the sun rays, I can deduce that it is between 7 and 8:30 a.m. since the bedroom 1 and 3 are waterfront. Okay. And it's easy to deduce the morning schedule since the sun rises on the seaside, illuminating those rooms. That is the room number 3, because that is the only one that has a hammock outside of it, and the hammock can be seen in the video. Also, after 10 a.m., the sun rays begin to reflect towards the floor of the bedroom. Since there are some pergolas on the outside of the room, I can also say that in that villa, both at sunrise and sunset are very annoying. For that reason, the owner decided to place wood on the window to prevent the sun rays from entering. I know this because I am the administrator of the villa, and on many occasions, I have been in the rooms at the time of the morning. Finally, I wish to state that the villa was reserved from October 28th to October 31st, 2022. That is all I wish to state. Okay. Now, this is at 8:45 in the morning. This is November 17th. And this is another witness. This person is Sonny Giselle Papaco Milian. He's the specialized unit for the investigation of miscellaneous crimes and jurisdiction. This is assignment, and this is the Criminal Justice Center located in all that stuff there that you guys see. This guy is 41 years old, and he can speak English and Spanish. Let me see if that other guy. Yep, both of them speak English and Spanish. Okay. This is my statement given to investigation agent Sunny Giselle Papaco Milian in reference to the facts that are being investigated today after informing me the reason for my presence in the interview. I have been employed by blank or Cabo Villas in the United States, where I work as concierge. In attention and customer service, I provide service, assistance with doubts, any service that is needed for approximately 3.5 years. On October 28, 2022, I have been informed of the arrival of some guests to the Villa Casa Linda 32, which is located in Padre Quino, Puerto Banderos, sorry, my Spanish is terrible. Puerto Los Cabos, San Jose del Cabo, and Cali Padre Gillian. The day before I was sent the work schedule of the villas that we are to take care of as concierge, so I knew that the guests of Casa Linda Villa would arrive around 3 p.m. on October 28th, 2022. So they sent him his assignment so he'll know when the guest was arriving. Uh-oh, guys. Hold up. What happened? 1 second. Let's take this out. Where did it go, guys? Hold on. One second, guys. My dogs are barking. Okay, I am back. Hold on 1 second. I clicked off of our information. 1 second. I don't know how I did that. All right, let me blow this back up. All right, here we go. I got it back up. Let's scroll back down and let's get back into the second part. So we left off where the concierge is giving his account. Okay. This is juicy, guys. Of course, we would have to have technical errors when we get to the good stuff, right? All right, so let me share my screen again here and let's get into it. All right, here we go. Let's add this in. All right. Now we have it here. Hold on. Let's, how did I? Oh, here we go. All right, guys, I am messing up. Please bear with me. We're going to get this here. Thank you for your patience. Let's get into this. Here we go. All right. Let's add this back in. All right, we got it. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, so let me go back up here. Okay, so let's see. All right, so this is the concierge. All right, so he walking about. Let me just start back from here. Okay, so he said where he worked, and he was informed the arrival of some guests to the Villa Casa Linda, which was, and he gave his location. The day before I was sent the work schedule of the villas that we are to take care of as concierge. So I knew that the guests of Casa Linda Villa would arrive around 3 p.m. on October 28th. So he got the list, his assignment the day before that Shanquellla was coming on at 3 o'clock. See, we didn't know the time they arrived. In my video, if you go back to my old videos, I did say 3 o'clock because I looked up the policy as to when you can arrive. You can arrive early, but you got to pay extra money. So I figured just, using common sense and deduction that they probably came around 3. Okay, moving on. The main client was Dejanay Jackson with the phone number of 860-888, and you see the rest, who contacted me around noon by text message to report that her flight had been delayed due to weather and that she would be telling me her new arrival time, confirming me that it would be at 17:19, which is 5:19 p.m. Then she asked me if after arriving and taking the transportation, she could stop to do some shopping, to which I responded, there is no problem. Then she told me that she would be letting me know the time they were going to arrive. She texted me when they left the shopping center. Okay. She arrived at the Casa Linda Villa around 20 hours. That is 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. military time. I had arrived at the villa about 15 minutes before, and upon entering, I see a person of slim build, Afro-American, about 1.75 meters. I think that's about 5'8". And he was about 25 to 30 years old, to whom I introduced myself since he asked me who I was. I told him that I am his concierge and that I will be supporting his vacation and everything he needs. Also at the villa were chef and waiter, who are employees of the company and co-workers. Moments before, when I saw the guests, I was surprised since I wasn't aware that there were guests already at the villa, to which the chef told me. Very important. There was already someone in the villa before Dejanay got there. Remember, guys, this is her birthday. So this makes sense that she is the main guest that he's communicating with, because I believe that she's the one who set this trip up to celebrate her birthday and Nazir's birthday, which was earlier in October. Okay. So who was the guy that was already there? Chef told me that 2 people, a couple, had arrived at the villa a few hours before. So he's there around 15 minutes before 8. So he was there around 7:45. And not 7:40. Yeah, 7:45. So a few hours is like 4 or 5 o'clock. Remember, we seen a video of Shanquellla in the pool, skinny dipping, and somebody, which looked like it was Khalil, who uploaded to his Cash Daddy or Cash something. I forget his handle name, but it was uploaded under his handle name, and that's his account. So it leaves me to believe that Khalil and Shanquellla probably arrived before Dejanay even got there. Okay, keep that under your hat. However, I only saw the male guest described above, so he didn't see Shanquellla, only the guy. I prepared my registration sheets, the information I have to provide to the client, guacamole, tortilla chips, margaritas, and I waited for the main client, who arrived almost immediately in Tres Cabos Transport. They got off with their groceries, bottles of alcohol and tequila, put down suitcases, started taking pictures of the villa. So I don't know who they were. Was it, Winter, Elise, and Malik, and Dejanay? All right. They looked excited. In total, 5 people arrived. 3 women, which was, he's telling us. Dejanay, Winter, and Elise. That's the 3 people. Okay. 2 of them African American, and one between African American and mixed Latino. Of them, the main one named Dejanay, who is sturdy built, tall, dark skinned with a thick voice. That's funny. Whoa, what is a thick voice? A thick voice. She was accompanied by two male guests of African American descent. Okay, now this is where it gets crazy. 5 people arrived, and there was already a couple in the house. So Shanquellla and somebody else. We know Nazir did not get there to the next day. So who were the other people? Because a tall guy, I think Khalil is taller than Nazir. So because I was thinking maybe Nazir really lied and he was there, but he said tall, about 5'8". That sounds like that's about Khalil's height. So who is the other guy that was with them? We know Malik. They looked excited. In total, 5 people arrived. Three women. And then, let's see. With a thick voice, she was accompanied by 2 male guests of African descent, both of them slim built. And one of them had dreadlocks. Guys, wait a second. Let's go back up here let's see, what is 1.75 meters tall? Let's make sure. I had arrived at the villa about 15 minutes before, and upon entering, I seen a person of slim build, Afro-American, about 1.7 meters tall, about 25 to 30. So a couple. Who could that have been? Guys, there was more people in this place. What is 1.75 meters? And
here are some results.
Yep, that's 5'8". 5 feet 8. Okay, so that's pretty tall. All right. All right, that's interesting. Wow. This is taking a turn. Okay. All right, one of them had dreadlocks. I introduced myself to the main guest, Miss Jackson, to her concierge, and welcomed her. I asked her if she would like to see the villa and show her to her rooms, along with some of her guests or friends to decide who would stay in the rooms. We returned to the dining room to sign the documents, which consist of guest registration, insurance included in the villa and residential complex rules, and provide a copy of each one of them, registering the following: Khalil Cook, Malik Dyer, Marina Donovan, Shanquellla Robinson, Elise Hyatt, Dejanay Jackson, Nazir Wiggins, eligible investigation agent Suni Jasil Papa Milan in this act. The main guest stayed in the master bedroom, which is located at the end of the living room. There are 2 rooms at the end of the kitchen. There are 2 rooms at the end of the kitchen is a TV or entertainment room. Then an access with an open area, which connects 3 or more rooms. The first room on the left is waterfront, and the other room on the right is also waterfront. And the third room, which is a double, not waterfront, being this at the end of the garage. I went to the room of the main client, Miss Jackson, to mention to her that dinner was already to mention to her that dinner was ready since 20 hours and that if it needed to be extended, they would be charged an extra hour, which she did not agree to and sent everyone to dinner. Since everyone was settling in her room. Minutes later, they all sit at the table and begin to drink a lot. That is when I meet Miss Shanquellla, who was the last one to approach the table to celebrate. Now, if you guys can remember the video, Shanquellla was already sitting down recording, and then we seen Elise come in, and then we seen I think Winter, and then Elise came in. You got to go back and watch that video. So that seems a little different from what I remember on the video. But anyway, let's move on. Minutes later, they all sit at the table and began to drink a lot. That is when I meet Miss Shanquellla, who was the last one to approach the table to celebrate. Noticing in her a strange attitude. She seemed not to fit in with the others. When I introduced myself, she did not greet me or smile. She was indifferent, nothing to do with the atmosphere or celebration. She was out of place at that party. I made sure that they were seated, having dinner, sharing and celebrating, and that they had the permission for the internet, the audio, the operation of the house. Once everything was ready, I left. All the clients. So let's think about that. So if she got in, Dejanay and them came in at 8 o'clock at night. She had already been skinny dipping. And we had that video where she was like, where y'all hoes at? It don't take y'all long to get naked, hoes. Where y'all at? So this must happen right after they arrived, because he said they had to eat. So they didn't. So she got there 8 o'clock. Shanquellla already had time to get comfortable to drink. I think there's some margaritas already there in the house from what I was reading. And she was swimming. We had just a video of her swimming early because she got there before everybody. And when they got there, you seen Dejanay in that room pointing at some bags. So that's probably some of her stuff that she went shopping and was talking to everybody. And she was talking about, let's get naked and get back in the pool. And then I guess they had to eat dinner. So I'm not sure what Dejanay walked in on with Shanquellla and them coming in first. And perhaps since she rented the room, maybe she was feeling some sort of way as to something that Shanquellla may have said or done when she got in there. And then for the concierge to say that Shanquellla was looking kind of out of place, maybe some words were already exchanged early in the engagement. That's what that's what I think. That's what I'm not, I don't have any hardcore evidence, but that's what I'm putting together here. Okay. So he said she was out of place. Okay. I made sure. Okay. Then once everything was ready, he left. Okay. All the clients, chef with the phone number and waiter with the phone number, stayed in the place. The next day at 1:50 p.m., 13:50 or 13:52 hours, that's 1:50, 1:52, I received a text message from the main guest, Ms. Jackson. This is almost something to 2 o'clock, asking me if I'm available and which was the nearest medical service. I greeted her and asked her how I could support her and if she was looking for a hospital. She answered yes. I think my friend has alcohol poisoning and needs emergency service and someone to speak or translate in Spanish for us. I offered to send her a doctor so he could determine if it was necessary to go to the hospital. And I told her that the doctor speak English. She answers, yes, please. I tell her that it costs $100 per visit plus the medicine. I ask her if she agrees, and she answers yes as soon as possible. I tell her that I will make the call to request the service, to which she answers, yes, please. Around 2 p.m. on October 29th, I called Dr. who is our contact for medical attention for our guests, and whose telephone number is blank blank. And in about 4 minutes, Ms. Jackson texted me asking me what I had been told, and I answered her that a doctor is going to contact her to check her friend. And she replies, okay. Attached to this document is a screenshot of the conversation with Ms. Jackson and I were. She asked me for medical help, and the conversation is recorded on 3-letter size sheet of paper attached here too. At 16:25, which is 4:25 p.m., she texted me and told me that the girl has to be hospitalized because after being evaluated, she has to be hospitalized, and that her friends were finding out if they had insurance. To which I asked if she is in serious condition, and the doctor said no, but that she does need an IV, that she's practically unconscious, and that was why she had to be hospitalized. Later, the administrator, blah, blah, with telephone number, blah, blah, blank, blank, called me to ask if I requested an ambulance for the villa. I told him no. He tells me that security of Puerto Los Cabos is asking him about the request and access of an ambulance to Casa Linda number 32. Later, blank, blank called me to tell me that the guest had died and asked me to go there as soon as possible, that he is already on his way. Oh gosh, guys, I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm trying to be moving down. Hold on, this is getting good, ain't it? Okay. Come on. Oh goodness. Let me use my mouse because it's easier with the mouse. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we read this one already. Let's keep going, y'all. Okay, we read that. Okay, here we go. Oh gosh. Okay. So let's see, but if they had insurance, okay. Later, the administrator, okay. If he said no, he tells me that the security of Puerto Los Cabos is asking him about the request, access of an ambulance to Casa Linda number 32. Later, blah, 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 called him to tell him that the guest had died and asked me to go there as soon as possible, that he is already on his way to help in whatever he can. I went to Puerto Los Cabos from Cabo San Lucas after having spoke with blank blank. Upon arriving at the villa, I find a couple of municipal police officers talking to blank blank in the parking area of the house. And one of the guests, who was African American descent, regular build, short hair, was coming and going from the house and calling by cell phone a relative or friend in the United States using blank blank as a translator. I also saw the main client, Miss Jackson, making contact with the male guest on several occasions, entering and leaving the house. During this time, I am waiting for blank to tell me what to do. Since he are my concierge team leader, so I enter the house, where I initially observed the guests relaxed, calm, sitting in the living room area near the bar and dinner table. My purpose was to look for the main guest, Miss Jackson, and give her my condolences. When I talked to her, I gave her my condolences. She thanked me and told me that they had talked to her friend's mother and mentioned that this was so fast, to lose her in an instant for having had too much alcohol. She's still with that story of too much alcohol. I asked her if I could give her a hug, to which she said yes. And she gave me a very indifferent hug, very cold. I saw a very sad guest, a skinny girl, and I saw that she was in pain. I believe that was the least height. You know, she had lost her sister also. Okay, as I continue. I left that area and stayed outside the main entrance to give them space to mourn and grieve. Minutes later, I heard laughter. Pause. What in the heck? That is evil. Wow. I would be too scared to even laugh. Wow. Anyway, moving on. I approached blank blank, who told me to leave to go back to my villas in Cabo San Lucas, that he would be in charge of following up and supporting the clients and the authorities. I said goodbye to the clients and I left for Cabo San Lucas. Later, around 9:30. Okay, let's move this down nice. The main guest contacted me to request transportation to go to dinner because they had not eaten anything all day due to the situation. So I called blank blank with the phone number, who owns Lands in Transfer, requesting transportation for the clients of Villa Linda 32 to San Jose to go to dinner because they had not eaten anything. The driver advised of his departure from Villa Linda 32 to San Jose del Cabo, find a restaurant for dinner. At the end of the service, the driver with phone number reported via audio message on the WhatsApp chat of the Lands End Transfer group that the service had ended and that he had left the guests at the airport hotel. So, wow. The next day, blank blank called me to tell me that the maid was reporting that there was no one in the villa, that if I had been notified that they were leaving, to which I replied that no, that the day before they had only requested transportation to the center. So later, around 11 in the morning, I sent a message to Miss Jackson to offer my support, asking if everything is okay and if there's anything I could do for it. You know, sometimes when someone is from another language, they use the wrong pronouns. But anything I can do for it, without getting a response until the next day, Monday, October 31st, 2022, when she texted me asking if she had to do anything else for checkout. If she had to sign anything, I could email it to her as they had already left. Later, she asked me for the property manager's number. Some minutes later, I sent it to her. Days later, I find out that there's a lot of controversy because of the news and the video of the main guest, Miss Dejanay Jackson, hitting her friend Shanquellla, the guest who died. When I saw the video on social media, I realized that practically the main guest, Miss Jackson, had manipulated me with the information she provided of what happened to leave the country as soon as possible. It should be noted that she put the name of Nazir Wiggins as the last person on a guest list or registry. Okay, so she was the one that put Nazir's name on that guest list. Okay. All right. So that was the witness statement. Now let's get into the autopsy here. So we have here, this is the cause of death, whom when alive was named Shanquellla Robinson. She was 25. Determine approximate time of death, make detailed description of the external and internal injuries, as well as the other objectives of the necropsy following internationally accepted protocols. All right, let's get into this, guys. This is just telling you what they did, the material they used, the method, and then it gives you a description. So the cadaver was received packaged in a white plastic bag, labeled and preserved with the chain of custody registry. The body came in at 8:30 that night. They didn't leave until 9. So they stayed there until the body left, and then they went and ate. That is so sick and twisted. Wow. So around 8:30, they went to the autopsy table. Let me see. But they brought at 8:30 hours to the autopsy table on the 29th. And then later at 9 o'clock on the 30th, we gathered at the autopsy table. So the next day at 9 o'clock, they began to do her autopsy. So their autopsy was actually done on the 30th. So they probably had those results in by the first week of December. So she's 25 years old. And they got her kilograms. So she's 165 kilograms. So that's that about 135 or something like that. We can always ask the smartphone. What is 65 kilograms in pounds?
65 kilograms is equivalent to 143.3 pounds.
So it probably was a little heavier because of the swelling. All right. So she, it tells you about her hair, face shape, and all that good stuff. All right. Oh, she has a complete dental work. So I wonder if she had any veneers. Okay, anyways. So she has a tattoo in her right snuff box. That's by the thumb. Heart shape in her left shoulder to the lumbar region, which is towards the back, is a female face and flowers. Okay. We got lividity. There was rigor mortis. That's when the body starts to break down. Okay. All right, now we get into the external injuries. So we have some contusions in the front region with hematoma, which is swelling. So in the frontal area is the head, and she had some swelling in her head. Some a contusion is basically a tear. Okay, so they also have that as well. We have 1 second. So we also have a direct contusion. Actually, it is some injured tissue. So like almost like a bruise. And that was by her iliac crest, which is by the pelvic region. Hematoma is basically a blood clot. Okay, so it must blood formation or clot formation that was there. They said this injury happened 12 hours before her death. And then it had another bruise by and blood clots on the right iliac crest. And then also there's a contusion in the left hand and with a hematoma. On the left big toe, there's some skin excoriation. So the skin was kind of, torn off. The anterior thorax and xiphoid show signs of defibrillator burn. And this is the only one with post-mortem characteristics. So that is saying that after she passed or transitioned, she had some burns from the defibrillator doing CPR. And the anterior thorax in the xiphoid region is the little bone underneath your breastbone. And that is where they are, usually pressing to do CPR. And then she obviously got burnt from the defibrillator. Her right eyeball has sclerotic internal hemorrhage. So that means it's kind of like a scattered, like blood you can see in the white part of the eye. So in the sclera is the white part of the eye. Internal hemorrhage meaning due to some internal bleeding, probably from her head, it starts to show through the white mucosa of the eyeball. So you see the sclerotic internal hemorrhage. Nail scraping. They did do a blood sample, and that was given to the forensic chemical lab. So there is a toxicology that we have not seen yet. She was in a tank top, a black tank top, jockey brand, size large, and purple shorts. No underwear and without shoes. Okay. So that picture that we seen of who was that? Of Shanquellla that Geraldo said was her. That was actually her because that's the outfit she has on here. Okay, venoclysis. This is basically like the body is at shock, and so like if you're like internally bleeding and stuff, and your organs is bleeding, you go through some like severe dehydration, and this will cause venoclysis. So your veins and things are kind of breaking apart. And that's what they see in her right extremity. Okay, so they talk about the defibrillator bone. Okay. all of those injuries that they talked about can be, you can see that before you even take off the clothes. So that venal lysis in the right extremity, you can see that. And I'm trying to see how I can describe it as far as how it look. I'm trying to see if I can find yeah, it's hard for me to find a picture. I'll find one later. Let's keep going. The cavities were open with mixed technique. Okay. So they looked at her head, her skull. Of course, they weighed her brain. They looked at all of her central nervous system, brain stem, her neck. That is where we see the atlas and medullary dislocation. She had some congestion even in her lungs due to blood that was filling up. Nothing going on with the heart. Nothing going on with her stomach, her digestive system, esophagus, stomach, liver. Her GI system was good. Her color was red. They looked at her pancreas, her gallbladder, her spleen, large intestine. They didn't have any information on none of this stuff. So basically, there's no information for us on those organs. On her upper extremities, her arms, there's contusion in the anatomic snuff box. So that little part by the arm, there's like a bruise there, a deep tissue bruise. In her lower extremity in the left big toe, there's skin excoriation where her skin looked like it's been rubbed. There is a 20 centimeter area from the vulval region down to each thigh. Okay. All right, and as you see here, the evidence of samples found were sent to chemistry and toxicology. Blood sample for clinical samples taken, yes. And it was sent to toxicology. We can say that the autopsy findings, there's nothing noted here. Okay. We can say based on the aforesaid and findings that the cause of death in whom life was called to Mrs. Robinson Shanquellla Bernata was, number one, atlas medullary dislocation, type of manner of death, violent, pre-existing pathology unknown, time of death between 17 and 20 hours when the necropsy was performed. Okay. So they did it the following day. What time did we say? Was that about 8 or 9? Wow. Signs of survival, yes. The cadaver shows signs of torture, no. Determination. If the injuries are post-mortem, no. We found defibrillator injuries consistent with resuscitation injuries. This injury is in the xiphoid appendix. So, guys, you have to understand that with CPR, there is a risk of injury. But to save your life, you'd rather have a burn and be living than to be dead and nobody try because they don't want to burn you. So we need to understand that, because people are freaking out by seeing that. That is just like, even sometimes you can fracture a rib if you're pressing too deep. That's why when they train you in BLS for CPR, you're supposed to only press so far down when you're doing your compressions for CPR. If you go too fast and too fast, you can push too much gas into the stomach. That can be an issue. If you go too deep, you can crush some some ribs and things. So you have to be careful. There is something else on here. When they say signs, let's see, signs of survival, when they're talking about an autopsy, let's see what that means. Signs of survival. Let's see. Hold on, guys. I want to see that because I'm not for sure. What is signs of survival on an autopsy report? Okay. All right, I can't find it, guys. I wanted to know. All right, we'll move on. All right. At 11 hours it ended. The cadaver was identified. Yes. Okay, so that was the conclusion. And then they got the injuries here. In all of these areas where you see contusion, there's swelling, that's due to injury. So there's blood collecting there due to the injury, due to the body slam on the ground, due to the beating on her head. That her ankle, she kind of grabbed her by the neck and twisted her and flipped her on the ground. So, it's really sad. So this is page 10 of 49. So there are other parts to this report. There's more things we don't know. We do not know the toxicology, and that is something that is important for us to know. If they drugged her, if there was something in her system, but they have not released that yet. Maybe they'll wait 5 more months and release that later. I don't know. We still have things that are inconclusive. If we can't get all of the information, we can't really make too many can't jump to to come to conclusions. This is kind of incomplete for us as the people. We don't really know what was in her system. And if you watch her movements while she's fighting, you can tell that they are a tad bit delayed, which leads me to believe that there could have been something in her system. And then it makes me wonder why we have not seen that toxicology report. So guys, tell me what you think. It was nice coming back and chatting with you guys. For me, I feel like there's a little bit more to the story. I feel like there's things that we still have not been privy to for whatever reason. And, then that makes me wonder, how can justice be served if there's things that still haven't came out? I'm sure the government knows, the FBI knows, and everybody else knows, but it's something, and there's a reason why things are coming out so, last minute or not coming out at all. Okay. Tell me in the comment section what you think about this. About what we went over. And yeah. All right, guys, you have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until the next time. Bye. Okay, hello. So that was my recording because I could not upload it due to it being over an hour. I noticed that the autopsy report is not showing. So stay tuned to part 2 so I can upload the autopsy report. For some reason, it did not upload. So as I was talking about it, you guys couldn't see the form. Thank you guys for your patience and understanding with me coming back in these technical glitches that I'm having. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good night. Bye-bye.